Hi, this is Dale O'Shills, pastor of Church of the Redeemer in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Thanks for joining me for this week of video devotionals. Thanks for being a part. We're so glad that you're engaging with us in this devotional time. I want to talk this week about resetting relationships in your life. So often our relationships tend to drift off course, and it's really important that we learn how to reset them, how to get them back to where they really need to be. I want to read you a story from the Gospels, and actually Gospel of Luke, in chapter 10, beginning in verse 25. It's a story of a lesson. It's actually a lesson that Jesus gave us about relationships, and I want you to hear what Jesus said. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher," he asked, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" "What is written in the law?" he replied. "How do you read it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." "You've answered correctly," Jesus replied. "Do this and you will live." But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" In reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity or compassion on him. He went to him, bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. 'Look after him,' he said, 'and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have.' Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." This obviously is the story of the Good Samaritan. And while the story is very, very clear in terms of its explanation of 3 different approaches to hurting people, what we want to do is learn the lesson that needs to apply to us. Jesus was teaching us to love our neighbor as ourselves. And relationships start with an attitude of our life that says, I'm responsible for reaching out to people around me. I'm responsible to extend love to the neighbors in my life. Now, a neighbor is anyone that's within your sphere of connection or influence. And so the question for us becomes, what are we doing day by day to reach out to show love toward, to engage with, to connect with, to be a blessing to people who are the neighbors around us? Sometimes they're hurting people, as was described in this story. Sometimes someone just needs a word of encouragement, a word of just blessing that can come from you. Sometimes it's just a smile or a nice extra thing that you'll do for someone. But what I want to encourage you to do, actually what Jesus encourages us to do today and every day of our lives, is to go and do likewise, to be the Good Samaritan to someone. Make that choice in your life today.